Welcome to the Fantasy Champions Fantasy Football Podcast. Here's your host, Morgan Colby and Rick Lemon.
What's going on, Fantasy Champs? Welcome into the Fantasy Champions Fantasy Football Podcast. My name is Morgan Colby. I got Rick Lemon with me as always. I'm sorry I'm not on the screen today. My camera died.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah. Wrecked. Get wrecked. So Rick's face will be there for you, but I will be missing. But we do have an interesting show to get to you. Last show was real existentially long. So today we are going to bring you a Thursday night preview for the Week 4 matchup between the Dolphins and the Bengals. Got some interesting matchups in the game, interesting fantasy plays. This game should be a hell of a lot more interesting than the last one. So I'm excited to see where this goes. But we will probably get it done in 20 to 25 minutes like last week, which is great. Great for you guys, great for us. All around.
Yeah, let's do it.
So before we do that, check out our website, fantasychampions.com. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, or any other podcasting platforms, please leave a review and share the podcast with your friends. If you're watching on YouTube, subscribe, click the bell for notifications, like and comment down below any questions you may or may not have for us. Get those comments in. Ask us questions. We will answer. We got a nice comment last week from somebody.
Oh, really?
I did
a nice
respond.
one?
It was very nice. It was very kind.
Oh.
So we appreciate you. But
we love you.
Let's jump into the Thursday night preview. As we normally do, we'll break down the away team first and then the home team second. Discuss some of the variables. This game is a lot more interesting than the last one. We got some interesting starts to go through. The game has a 47.5 point over under, so should be some scoring in this game, and it should lead to some good fantasy point production for you. Not just in your regular lineups, but also in your DFS lineups, which I didn't do a DFS lineup last week. I feel kind of gross about that.
You gotta always do one.
I know, that's what I'm saying. All right, so we'll start with the Miami Dolphins. Ready to get going?
Yeah.
So for the Miami Dolphins at the quarterback position, they have Tua Tagovailoa, who there's some questions surrounding Tua right now, not pertaining to his play because he's been great, but more specifically pertaining to his health. So on Sunday he got whacked, and I don't know if you saw the clip, but he was stumbling. And,
yeah, I did. I
then,
saw him.
And then the
Dolphins
Dolphins
I
were
was like, whoa.
The Dolphins, I don't know, Mike McDaniel went over and finagled the NFL staff, and I don't know what he did, but he just looked at him, and they were like, yeah, Tua can go back out. And I don't know what happened, but they put Tua back out there after a couple of drives. He looked bad, and typically when there is a concussion involved, the player can't play the rest of the game. I don't know how they worked that out, but Tua did play.
They needed the win. That's how.
He was listed as he did not participate in Monday's practice, so essentially it looks like he'll be day-to-day right now, and the chance of suiting up on Thursday against the Bengals is good, barring any setbacks, so I don't know this is going to be a problem. Obviously, if Bridgewater plays, that downgrades all of the fantasy assets. Yeah, so just keep that in mind when you go into the week, that even if you want to, if you want to start, Hill and Waddle, obviously you got to start Hill and Waddle, or Chase Edmonds, that, there might be a little bit, it's Thursday, it's a short week, so the production might be a little bit limited anyway, but with Bridgewater in there, it's going to definitely be a little bit more limited. So, we're going to give you the information based on if Tua was available to play. With that being said, Tua had 11 points this week. He wasn't very good in fantasy football. Even if he played those two other drives, I don't think it would have made the difference between him becoming...
Probably would have had 14 points.
Yeah, he probably had 14 or 15 points. Yeah, so I think for Tua, obviously we said to bench him, pick him up, but bench him this week. He's playing the Bills defense. It's going to be tougher. It was tougher for him. But are you starting Tua Tagovailoa this week against the Cincinnati Bengals?
I want to know where the Bengals rank right now against quarterbacks.
I'll look it up.
I don't know if you can, because if it's a good matchup,
Sleeper says
I'm willing
it's a bad
to start
matchup.
him.
But I don't
Interesting.
know if that's true. We don't have the points allowed.
Echo, so they probably got points for that. And who week 1, they played Dak. Well, no, they played Cooper Rush. They played the Cowboys, right?
Mm-hmm.
Did Cooper Rush do good against the Bengals?
No.
I
So
feel like
based on weeks 1 and 2, who did they play last week? Cincinnati.
They played the Jets, the Cowboys, and who did they play in week 1? The Steelers. So they haven't really played a good quarterback.
Yeah, that's fair. They've given up 15 fantasy points a game to the quarterback position, so you're going to have to choose between looking at the numbers and being like, or diving in.
I'm going to dive in. I'm going to do it.
All right.
I'm going to say start it. I think the Bengals defense is okay, but it's not great.
Mm-hmm. You don't like Chickadee Awuzie and Jesse Bates and
yeah, no. They have some pieces for sure, but I mean, they let Cooper Rush and Mitch Trubisky do some things against them, and Joe Flacco threw 300 yards. So,
Joe Flacco.
I think I'm not going to say Tua is going to have a big week.
Yeah,
and I think he's going to be one of these guys that has could be good week, bad week.
Yep.
Good week, bad week. I compare him to Derek Carr fantasy wise.
Mm-hmm.
Rest of the season, I think that's kind of what he's going to be because he has really no rushing, so it's going to be dependent on those big games.
Yeah,
but I think it could be a shootout against Cincinnati. It's a road game. I'm not telling you he's getting 30 points again, but I think he could get a 20-point week this week against Cincinnati.
I don't necessarily
and be like a low end QB1.
I don't necessarily disagree with your estimation. I think there's going to be boom weeks for Tua where he does throw like 3 or 4 touchdowns and
40's not happening. Yeah, 40 points.
40 points is probably I would venture to guess not going to happen again for Tua. He doesn't rush. He doesn't provide any rushing floor. He's just a pocket passer who gets the ball where it needs to be, and there'll probably be weeks where he gets 30 plus. I don't think Thursday will be 30 plus. I think you'll see between 15 and 20 points. If you need to start this week at quarterback, I think Tua is more than serviceable, but just temper expectations.
Well, that's the thing. Like, don't start him over somebody who is like a top
don't be stupid
8 to 10 guy. But if you're like in the spot where you're streaming guys, let's say for example, my team in the home league, I have Trevor Lawrence. Yeah. I think I'd rather start Tua this week versus Cincinnati than Trevor Lawrence against the Eagles, just based on matchups, right? So, so if you're in a spot like that, then Tua is a good option for you this week.
Yeah, don't bench Tua for Joe. Don't bench Joe Burrow for Tua.
Right.
If you have both of them, you're like, I can't choose. All right. Number 2, we'll go to the running backs. Not number 2. See, I'm back in like off-season content over here. Number 2 we have on this list.
Yeah.
Running backs, we have Chase Edmonds and Raheem Mostert. Not interested in Mostert at all. I think he's worthless in fantasy.
Mostert.
Chase Edmonds on a week-to-week basis has been interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Week 1, 16 touches, had a good game. Week 2, they didn't really give him any work until the second half, and then when he got the work, not that it was him causing the big comeback to happen, but he got some work in the second half, scored some fantasy points, but at that point it was too late to save his fantasy week. And then last week he had 7 touches, I think, for 15, 14 fantasy points, so he had a decent week this week. I don't know what the opportunity share is going to look like in this offense for Miami. If this is a game where Tua has to sit, I like Chase Edmonds. If it's a game where Tua plays, I don't know how they're going to play it. I'd like to see Chase Edmonds get work, but I am concerned about the opportunity share there and how things kind of shook out in the last 2 weeks with him and Raheem Mostert. So Mostert had, I think, 8 or 9 touches, and Chase Edmonds had 6 or 7. It's clear Chase Edmonds is a better running back, so they should get him the ball. I just don't really know what Mike McDaniel is doing with the running backs at this point.
I know what he's doing. He's friends with Mostert, bro. Mostert comes from San Francisco. They've been together for a while. I'm sure there's something a little bit there.
We gotta get some. We gotta get this kid some work. He's good. Yeah, 1.8.
He's one of his guys, No, but I think Edmonds is another guy who I'm a little bit on the fence on. I think if you really need to start him, go ahead.
Mm-hmm.
But again, temper your expectations. I do think I would like to think, at least, that this week it's a little bit more of a snap percentage.
Mm-hmm.
He was down to 44% this week and 51% the week before. I think I'd like to think it's more closer to that 63% in week one, based off Mostert's performance last week with having pretty much just over 1 yard per carry.
Yeah.
Not that Edmonds was great, but he was clearly better than Mostert. So I would like to think he gets more work this week. If you need to start an RB, I don't think it's a bad spot. Like, again, Cincinnati's not an elite defense. So I think Edmonds is not a bad play. Obviously, don't start him over really high-end guys, but as like a flex or a low-end RB2, sure.
All right, 2 wide receivers. Think it's pretty clear Tyreek Hill has to start.
Yep.
Jalen Waddle, who was a 3rd or 4th round pick in redraft leagues this year, has been lights out. Week 1, week 2, week 3, regardless of opportunity share, he has been good. So I would saddle up Jalen Waddle as if he's a wide receiver 2 or wide receiver 1 on my team, regardless of matchup at this point.
He's the wide receiver 4 so far this year.
I love Jalen Waddle this week. I think he's going to be good.
I think Tyreek Hill is going to be the one that goes off. They're going to go back and forth. But yeah, obviously both starts. So.
Yeah, both starts. And then at tight end, Mike Gesicki would be the only option at the tight end position that I would even come close to considering. But he has been honestly the odd man out. All of the target share that went to Mike Gesicki before Tyreek Hill is gone. That was redistributed into the Tyreek Hill share, and nothing was taken away from Waddle. So, yeah, Mike Gesicki is a no-go for me.
Yeah, agreed. I'm kind of out on Mike Gesicki.
All right, let's talk about the Cincinnati Bengals. Unless you have any more thoughts on that team.
No.
I'm rooting against Miami.
Yes, you are definitely pro Bengals this week.
I am. Well, I was already pro Bengals.
Like, you know what? I'm kind of pro Bengals this week too. I
jumped off.
Got Chase.
I literally. I was watching the Pats game. Actually, it was the week we won.
So week 2.
Yeah, week 2. What the crap? Who do we play? I don't even remember.
Steelers.
My brain's fried. It's 8:00 at night. They play the Steelers. Freaking halfway through that game, I was so mad, and I'm like, you know what? I'm done. I'm going to root for the Bengals. I'm gonna bandwagon my way over.
Bengals are kind of your second team, aren't they?
They become my second team. Yeah, dude. On Madden, that's my team. That's the team I use. It's funny. I was playing Madden today, and I play online against people, and I'm trying to win an online game with every single team in the game. So I got to the first team, and I'm like, I feel good. Justin Fields, the Bears. That might be the worst team in the entire video game. I'm telling you right now, they freaking suck.
That's not a good. I mean,
they suck.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but they gave Justin Fields absolutely no awareness, so he gets pressured.
Wait till you get to Houston.
Sideways. See, at least I got Davis Mills.
Yeah.
He could throw it straight.
Oh,
anyway,
I guess so.
It took me 9 tries to finally get a dub with the stupid Bears, and it was enraging me because they kept on putting me against like the Chiefs and the Bills where they had good teams. So mad. Anyway. Then I played the Bengals the game after that, and I won by 28 points. So it's clear, I like the Bengals. It's my team.
Mm-hmm.
Second favorite. I should get a Joe Burrow jersey, but I haven't even
surprised you haven't.
Surprised I haven't yet. Remember when I thought he was going to be a bust? That was a funny time.
You did? I don't remember.
I told you that, and then I said, oh, he's going to be a bust, and then you convinced me by showing me one video.
Oh.
Anyway.
Simpler times.
Yeah, simpler times. But Joe Burrow starts this week against the Miami Dolphins. I would play him. You drafted him probably as like a top 6 quarterback in fantasy football. He has had kind of some up and down performances this season. So Miami's been a good defense. This might be a tough game for Joe Burrow. In terms of fantasy production. He is on a short week. I don't expect a lot of fantasy production. I actually would... My expectations would probably be in the QB2 range for him, but just based on who he is as a quarterback and that he can freaking go off any given week, you have to start Joe Burrow.
I was going to say, because earlier you said that you would start Burrow over Tua. Do you still feel that way?
Yes, 1,000%. Tua's in the same spot. Like,
Yeah, I agree. I would start Burrow over Tua as well. And I don't know if this is a monster week because Miami's defense is legit. Miami's secondary is really good.
Yeah.
So that's going to be an interesting matchup. But yeah, I'd start Burrow. I think, similar to Tua though. I think he's going to be in that 20-ish point range. But I do think I'm more confident in Burrow than I am in Tua. So, Burrow is a start and probably like a low end QB1, high end QB2. So like somewhere in that QB 9 to 14 range, I think he finishes. But so not anything electric, but good enough to start.
All right, let's talk about some running backs for the Cincinnati Bengals. Samaje Perine has not really been existent in the backfield for them.
He had a touchdown this week, though, didn't he?
Yeah, I believe so. After the Super Bowl, where they were giving him a lot of run, I thought maybe he could have a little bit larger of a role. Not that I was drafting him in fantasy, but he just really hasn't had much of a role. Joe Mixon's still the guy. He had 21 points in week 1, 11 in week 2, 6 against the Jets this week in week 3. He is back to that, in 2021, he had maybe his best season based on his, yards per attempt or yards per carry. He had 4.13 in 2021 and 2020 at 3.6. This year he's at 2.81. Like, he's back to that gross, like,
it's because, a lot of people, we had the expectation that improved offensive line, Mixon will be more efficient, but the offensive line has sucked. So,
are you expecting him? Like, I don't expect him to have a big week this week. Like I said, the Thursday game kind of screws things up. But like, are you still rolling him out week to week and being like, Joe Mixon's the guy?
I am. I mean, you have to probably where you drafted him, but I actually like him this week.
Okay.
I think he's going to have a better week than he did the last few weeks because Miami's weakness, if they have a weakness, is the rush defense. So if Mixon's going to have a good week, this could be the week where he goes off. I think, I'm not going to say 20 fantasy points, but, I think he has a good week, 15, 16 points, something like that.
Yeah.
And is a productive start. But yeah, I mean, if you have Mixon, you got to start him week to week.
Yep. Jamar. Wide receiver, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd, the trio.
Yep.
Jamar Chase must start. Love Jamar Chase. This is why
hopefully
I should just be a
goes
Bengals
off
fan.
This week.
I should just be a Bengals fan. Jamar Chase is one of my favorite receivers. I literally am a stan. Best wide receiver in the NFL. Can't at me.
There you go.
He's a start this week. Any concerns?
No, not concerns. I knew this was. I drafted Chase in our home league, and I have him in a couple dynasty leagues, so I know how it works. But he has those big weeks, and then he just gets like a couple weeks where he gets like 10 fantasy points and doesn't really do that much. But I'm hoping.
I mean, 10.
This is one of the weeks where he gets like 30 points.
10's good.
No, 10 is fine.
It's fine,
but it's not, first round pick wide receiver.
You also have T. Higgins, who I actually would say has struggled to begin the season. He's one of the guys that has taken.
That's what the numbers look like, but don't fool yourself.
He's got 4, 19, and 14, but I'd ride with him against Miami.
He had 4 in week 1, and he got injured at the beginning of the second quarter. So he had 4 fantasy points in the first quarter, and then he comes back, has 19 fantasy points, and then this week had 14 fantasy points and had a touchdown to get taken back that should have counted. Yes.
Okay. Wow, we're formulating our trade targets. Points. We're formulating our trade targets this week as the show's going.
On the show. Yeah.
Yeah.
But Higgins and Chase for sure.
Okay. Tyler Boyd this week had 20 fantasy points. He's had 13, 5, and 20 on the season in the 3 games that he's played. Do you
in deeper leagues, sure.
Okay.
But
yeah, I wouldn't start him either.
I wouldn't start him either. It shows too, like he only had 5 targets this week, even though he had 20 fantasy points. He took, I think, I don't remember if it was a 3rd or 4th down, but it was like have to make it play, and it was a slant, I think it was a deep in cut maybe, and it went to Boyd, and then one of the Jets players like missed a tackle, and there was no other safety, so Boyd turned it into like a 50 or 60-yard touchdown. That's where all of his points came from, really.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So, I mean, there's some... Yeah, I'm not interested in Tyler Boyd.
Deeper leagues, though, sure, but...
Tight ends. tight end, Hayden Hurst, the glorious beard. He got a very nice looking beard. I hope he still has it because that thing is, especially with the orange hair, it's wonderful.
Hurst, baby.
He had 9-7 in weeks 1 and 2, and the most interesting and intriguing aspect, I don't know if he got hurt. He's dealing with a groin injury.
Did.
But he had 75 and 81% snap percentage in week 1 and 2. He had 8 targets in week 1, 7 targets in week 2. It was clear they were kind of getting him the ball in the offense, which is good if you're looking for a tight end. But he is dealing with a groin injury. He entered this past weekend as questionable. He was able to suit up, played the Jets, didn't do much. And this week it looks like he was a limited participant on Monday's practice report. So, would you start him this week against Miami?
I'm going to say no, but he is an intriguing guy long term to look at, but this week, no.
29-year-old Hayden Hurst.
Yeah, in his 4th year.
All right, there you go. There's a breakdown of the Cincinnati Bengals, of the Dolphins, and what you should do for the fantasy assets on those teams. Rick, really quickly, who do you got for a winner pick in this game?
I'm going to go with the upset. I'm riding the train with you. Let's go Bengals. I got the Bengals.
Bengals!
At home.
He says,
2-0 so far this year.
I'm going with the Bengals with you. He knows already.
Right, I already knew.
Cincinnati country, let's ride.
Bengals country, let's ride.
Dude, you hear? I can't say it. See you later, guys.
See you later.
Thank you for listening to the Fantasy Champions Podcast. Make sure you subscribe on iTunes and YouTube, and follow us on Twitter @TheFFChamps.